They said he was gone for good. Fans mourned. Amy grieved. And for years, Heartland moved on without Ty Borden. But now, everything has changed. Rumors have turned into whispers, and whispers are turning into something far more real, because Ty is back in town. Yes, you heard that right. Graham Wardle's return to Heartland is no longer just a fantasy for fans, it's becoming a reality. But why now? What does this mean for Amy, for Lindy, and for the future of the Fleming Borden family? The truth is more complicated and more emotional than anyone expected. For years, the idea of Ty returning to Heartland seemed impossible. His character's tragic death in season 14 left fans in shock and grief. Amy's world fell apart, and viewers watched her slowly rebuild a life without him. She raised Lindy on her own. She found healing through horses, through family, and through sheer strength. The show moved forward, and so did we. But underneath it all, there was always a question. What if Ty wasn't really gone? That question is no longer just a theory. Behind the scenes, something has been quietly in motion. Graham Wardle, the actor who portrayed Ty, had stepped away from the show to explore personal growth, creative ventures, and spiritual journeys. He said goodbye to Heartland with gratitude, and fans respected his decision, even if it hurt. But in the world of television, doors are rarely closed forever. And now, we're learning that those doors may have been cracked open for a reason. Graham has recently been in talks with Heartland's producers. That alone sent shockwaves through the fanbase. But it didn't stop there. Reports started surfacing, first subtle, then louder, of scripts being written, scenes being discussed, and a story arc being developed that could explain the unthinkable. Ty never died. Or at least, not in the way we were led to believe. Season 19 is shaping up to be the most emotional and surprising chapter in Heartland's history. The idea of Ty coming back isn't just a rating stunt, it's a deeply personal narrative choice, grounded in love, loss, and redemption. But this won't be an easy reunion. In fact, it might be the most difficult story the show has ever told. Imagine Amy's world being turned upside down again, only this time, not by grief, but by hope. After spending years mourning the love of her life, how does she even begin to accept that he's alive? How does she face the pain of knowing he was out there all along, choosing to stay away? The emotions are layered, raw, and real. This isn't just a homecoming, it's a reckoning. And let's not forget Lindy. She grew up with stories of her father, with photographs and bedtime tales. She built her idea of him from Amy's memories. Now, she's about to meet him, not as a memory, but as a man. That moment alone will carry the emotional weight of the entire series. But why did Ty disappear in the first place? Why fake his death? And what was so dangerous, so urgent, that it kept him from the people he loved most? The answers to these questions will take us deep into a backstory that fans never saw coming, one that reaches beyond Heartland and into a darker, more suspenseful world than the show has ever explored. And this is only the beginning. The Ty Borden who returns to Heartland in season 19 is not the same man who left. He's older, more haunted, and carrying the weight of years spent in hiding. And the reason for his disappearance? It's more than just fear, it's survival. After being targeted by a violent criminal from his past, Ty had no choice but to vanish. What started as a threat quickly became a life-or-death situation. He wasn't just trying to protect himself, he was trying to protect Amy and their newborn daughter, Lindy. If he had stayed, the danger would have followed. So Ty made the most painful decision of his life, to disappear, to let the world believe he was dead, and to carry the burden of that choice alone. Heartland Season 19 begins peeling back the layers of Ty's hidden life. We learn that he spent years moving from town to town, always looking over his shoulder. He used different names, worked quiet jobs, and never stayed in one place long enough to build new ties. But through it all, Amy and Lindy were with him, in his thoughts, in the letters he never sent, in the memories he couldn't let go of. Eventually, the threat faded. The man hunting Ty was arrested in a completely unrelated case, something Ty only found out years later. But by then, he had convinced himself that too much time had passed, that returning would only reopen old wounds, that Amy had moved on. Still, the guilt never left him, and when he saw a photograph of Lindy online, older now, the same eyes as her mother, something inside Ty shifted. He knew it was time to come home. But home isn't what it used to be. Ty's return sends shockwaves through the entire Heartland family. Amy, as strong as she is, doesn't know whether to scream or cry. She buried him. She raised their child alone. And now he's here, standing in front of her, asking for forgiveness. The emotional conflict is gut-wrenching. This isn't a fairy tale reunion. It's a storm of love, anger, loss, and impossible choices. Then there's Lou, Amy's sister, who supported her through the darkest days. She watched Amy break apart and slowly rebuild herself. Lou doesn't trust Ty's explanation. Not yet. Her protectiveness is fierce, and she questions everything. Why didn't he come back sooner? Why didn't he let them help? And most importantly, how can she ever believe he won't disappear again? Jack, the Heartland patriarch, is also torn. He loved Ty like a son. His return is a miracle, but it's also a reminder of the pain his disappearance caused. Jack knows about second chances. He's had to ask for a few in his own life. But this situation tests even his steady heart. He sees the cracks in his family widening, and he knows it will take more than apologies to mend them. And in the middle of it all is Lindy. Her innocence is both beautiful and heartbreaking. She doesn't fully understand the weight of Ty's return, but she feels it. When she asks, "Why did you leave us?" There's no answer that can make that question easier. But there is honesty and love, and maybe, just maybe, the beginnings of healing. The suspense builds as Ty tries to reintegrate into a world that moved on without him. He visits familiar places that now feel unfamiliar. People treat him like a ghost, some with awe, others with anger. Gossip spreads through Hudson like wildfire, and while some are happy to see him, others are less forgiving. Behind every reunion scene, there's tension. Ty's presence reopens every wound that was barely closed. And Amy? She doesn't know if she's ready to love him again, or if she ever stopped. But Ty didn't just come back for closure. He came back with secrets, dangerous ones that could still impact everyone he loves. Because while the past may have let go of him, he hasn't let go of the past. And it's coming back too. Just when it seems like Heartland is beginning to settle after Ty's return, the past comes knocking. Louder, darker, and more dangerous than before. Ty may have believed the threat was gone, but nothing in his story is that simple. In Season 19, secrets start unraveling, revealing that the danger he ran from never truly disappeared. It simply hid in the shadows, waiting for the perfect time to strike again. Ty reveals to Amy that during his time in hiding, he uncovered something bigger than a personal vendetta. The man who threatened his life wasn't acting alone. He was part of a network involved in illegal activities Ty stumbled onto while working in a remote veterinary clinic years ago. Ty had reported what he saw, thinking justice would be served. Instead, he became a target. His death was not only a way to protect his family, it was a desperate attempt to bury the truth before it buried him. But now that he's returned, so have the shadows. Strange things start happening around the ranch. Security cameras go offline, vehicles are tampered with. And one night, Ty finds a message carved into the side of the barn. A warning, unmistakable and chilling. The threat is back, and it knows he's returned. What was once a personal reunion turns into a ticking clock scenario. Ty must now balance rebuilding his family with protecting them all over again. Amy is no longer just a grieving widow. She's a mother, a fighter, and someone who has already survived unimaginable pain. She refuses to let fear take over again. But trust doesn't come easy. Ty kept his disappearance a secret for years. Now he's back with more secrets and more danger. Amy wants to believe in him. She wants to let him in. But at what cost? Meanwhile, Lou begins her own investigation. She can't sit back while her sister's safety is at risk. Using her connections and political influence, she starts digging into Ty's past, looking for the names, the records, and the truth. What she finds is disturbing. The men Ty feared, they still have reach. And they're not just watching Ty, they're watching everyone he loves. Tension ripples through the Heartland family. Jack reinforces the property, keeps his rifle close, and watches the gates with wary eyes. Lisa urges calm, but even she senses that something isn't right. The calm of the ranch is disrupted by uncertainty, and the close-knit family begins to feel the strain. Every creak of the barn door, every unknown truck on the road raises suspicions. But amidst the fear, there are moments of healing. Ty begins spending more time with Lindy, helping her with her pony, telling her stories, teaching her things he always dreamed of sharing. Their bond, though new, is deep and instinctive. Lindy sees past the chaos. She sees her father. And for Ty, that connection gives him purpose, a reason to fight harder than ever. Amy watches those moments with a heart full of conflict. She sees the man she loved, the one who once promised her forever. But she also sees the man who disappeared, who let her suffer, who missed birthdays, first words, first rides. That kind of pain doesn't fade easily. Still, Ty doesn't run this time. He faces the danger head-on, determined to make things right. He works with Lou, with the authorities, and even reaches out to an old contact from his years in hiding. Together, they begin piecing together the final pieces of the puzzle. But the enemy is closer than they think. Just when things seem to calm, a stranger shows up in Hudson, a man with no history, no clear motive, and a little too much interest in Ty's return. The suspense builds as this mysterious figure starts asking questions around town, visiting the ranch under false pretenses, and leaving behind subtle signs that he's watching. Ty recognizes him from years ago, a silent face in the background of his nightmares. The danger isn't over. Season 19 doesn't just explore Ty's emotional return, it dives into a suspenseful, high-stakes story that tests the strength of love, family, and trust. The past isn't done with Ty Borden, and this time, it's threatening to destroy everything he came back to protect. As Season 19 races toward its emotional and dramatic climax, the walls begin to close in around Ty and the family he fought so hard to return to. The faceless danger from his past has become real. A man from the same criminal network Ty once exposed has resurfaced, and he's not just looking for revenge. He's looking to silence Ty forever. And this time, he's brought the threat straight to Heartland's doorstep. Amy, already struggling to process the storm of emotions Ty's return brought with it, now faces a new kind of fear, losing him again. But this time, she refuses to stand back. She's not the same woman Ty left behind. She's stronger, more resilient, and ready to fight for her family. And she's not alone. Lou, Jack, and the rest of the Heartland family rally around Ty, not just to protect him, but to stand with him. Because what's coming isn't just Ty's battle, it's theirs too. The tension hits its peak when Lindy is put in danger. A break-in at the ranch forces Ty to confront the man from his past in a confrontation that's as emotional as it is intense. It's not just fists or words, it's years of pain, fear, guilt, and anger coming to a head. In that moment, Ty chooses not just to defend himself, but to let go of the shadows he's been living in. The man who once ran now stands his ground, not as a fugitive, but as a father, a partner, and a protector. And when it's over, when the threat is finally neutralized, there's a silence that settles over Heartland. Not the fearful silence that comes before something bad, but the kind of quiet that comes after a storm has passed. But that doesn't mean everything is fixed. Ty still has to earn back the trust he lost. Amy still has questions. Lindy still has to build a relationship with the father she never knew. And the rest of the family has to process everything that's happened. Again. But there's something different this time. There's hope, there's honesty, and there's the possibility of healing. In the final scenes of Season 19, we see a quieter Heartland, one where Ty is no longer a ghost from the past, but a real part of the present. He stands beside Amy at the paddock, watching Lindy ride. They don't speak much, but they don't need to. Their silence says enough. It says they're not okay yet, but they're getting there. Ty's return wasn't about a happy ending. It was about redemption, reckoning, and the power of second chances. Heartland has always been about family, love, and resilience. And in Season 19, it reminds us that even the most broken stories can be mended, if you're brave enough to face the truth. Ty Borden came back not just to be found, but to finally come home. And now that he's here, the next chapter begins. Ty's return to Heartland isn't just a twist, it's a turning point. It reopens old wounds, but it also brings the chance to heal them. Season 19 promises to be the most emotional, suspenseful, and powerful chapter yet, with family at its core and forgiveness on the line. What would you do if someone you thought was gone forever walked back into your life? Could you forgive them? Could you let them in again? These are the questions Heartland dares to ask, and the answers are never simple. If this story moved you, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe Ty deserves a second chance? And how do you think Amy should move forward? For more updates, theories, and deep dives into Heartland Season 19, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones that bring us back home.